Hi there. So hopefully I don't get interrupted by either a little orange cat who likes to lie on my desk now or workmen, because we're having some work done in our building and they're supposed to be coming into our condo. So we'll see how this goes. And I don't lose my voice. So I have another handmade sketchbook that I made myself, and another one is completed. So we're going to take a look at that. I have on my website step-by-step instructions on how to make one yourself. And I also have a video up, which I'll put up in the corner. Again, I'm not a bookbinder, but this seems to work for me. And I've had it in my bag for, nearly 3 months? Yep. And it's been all around the city, and I've also used it a lot at home as well because, it's winter, so I'm not doing as much urban sketching. But we will see when we go through it. I picked up this sticker at Midoko recently, and I've been trying out a little mini printer right here. Only reason why I'm showing is because it's right on my desk, to print out labels for my handmade watercolor. And I tried printing out my name too. So, as usual, I have a card for how to get in touch with me just in case I lose this sketchbook. And I wouldn't want to lose it because it is, full of my sketches, and also I made it. So, and I was just practicing with a brush, ink in a brush, a water brush, to see how to do figures. So it opens with this page of color, and you may have seen in my previous videos that when I'm making handmade watercolor, you're mulling the pigment into gum arabic on a glass plate, and at the end, to get the paint off, I usually just use a scraper. And so I've scraped colors onto these two first pages. And it's a little bit hard to see, but this is a sketch of a hotel that I was invited to display my artwork and sell for one day in the lobby. Now, unfortunately, I thought this was going to be with other people, but no, it was just me. And then somebody did another day, and somebody did another day after that, etc. So there wasn't really any draw from people from the neighborhood to come in. It was really just people who were staying there who basically were in and out. So we're a little thing about that there. Less said about that, the better. And then I was in Balzac's Coffee House, which is in the Distillery District. And it's a really neat big space with high ceilings, and then there's a mezzanine level. So I was looking down onto the main part. And then more cleaning off my plate and not wanting to waste it. So this is ultramarine blue, and it might be a little bit difficult to see, but this is a ship that came into, I was sitting in another coffee shop near Sugar Beach, and it's where they bring in the sugar to be refined at Redpath next door. And then these are stamps that my husband collects stamps, and he didn't want them, so I thought it just looked kind of cool to put different stamps from all over. And this is inside that coffee shop. This is Mofer on Queen's Quay. And then I just did this little raccoon, kind of like the mascot of Toronto. This is based on a photo that I took in, I forget where it said, oh no, it's Paris, yeah. And this is a scene from across the street from Mofer, this building on Queens Quay. And I think I used, I used the Schminke Urban set, which is a set that I have reviewed on here as well. And one day we went to Chinatown and had pho, Vietnamese food. So I sat and sketched the shops across the street, right on Spadina. And then I was in yet another coffee shop. This is Cafe 23 on Queen Street West. And this one was, the Street View World Tour. It's 2 artists, and I'll put down the details below. Jenny Adam and Eleanor Dottie do these street worldview scenes where you have either pictures or live views of places, and you sketch, and it's the first Thursday, I think, of every month. And that was just sketching someone waiting at a coffee shop. I put in this Canson Mi-Teinte paper because I thought I might do more pastel. I didn't, but so we had an urban sketcher meetup at the Art Gallery of Ontario at the beginning of January, and I did, to start with, a little sketch of a Rodin sculpture. And this was more from that meetup, online meetup with the Street View people. And I'm not sure where that was. And so these were kind of out of order because I have different papers in this sketchbook. I tend to skip forward and go back to pages. So this is a little bit later. At the end of February, there's this real old rock dude playing music on a portable organ outside Starbucks on the Danforth. And I had tested out new acrylic markers on here, and the pen that I had just did not like it. It was kind of just coming off because it is acrylic. And this one is, I went to, I think it's every must be, anyways, they have usually a free concert at this United Church on Queen near Church. And that day was a pianist who was really good. I haven't been back, just my schedule's not worked out for it, but it was a nice way to spend a noon hour. And it's free. And this is somebody that was in the Starbucks while I was also doing that. This is a street view from January as well. So this was in a view of a place in Russia. We're back at the Art Gallery of Ontario, and this is one of the cafes in the place. And one of the exhibition rooms. This is an acrylic marker. Both are acrylic markers that I'm just testing out. And this is also the AGO Walker Court, the big main court inside the place when you come in the main entrance. And this is in the Toronto's First Post Office. They have I think it's a Sunday a month where they have people who do letter writing meet up on a Sunday and write letters together, and I just crashed the party to sketch. And that was it was just after Christmas, so they still had Christmas cards up on display. And I just did a little, they have quills for you if you want to write the really old-fashioned way. And then near a new cafe is the Mars building. Mars is, I don't know if that's considered an organization, but they have a couple of buildings now where they have startups and research companies are kind of drawn to that so that they can work with each other, or that's at least the theory. And that's on the waterfront too, which is what I'm close to. And then I did this kind of monoprint with a jelly plate, and it's a combination of 2 different colors, I think it was, with an imprint into it. It's acrylic gouache, Turner acrylic gouache, so it has a little bit of a texture to it. The Japanesque Turner acrylic gouache has that kind of pumicey texture to it. And I just did, I pasted these ripped pieces for a collage, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then one day we got pastries from Nadej, and I just thought, well, that would look, kind of goes in with the colors of it, so I used it. And every winter there's a competition to do winter weather stations. Winter stations. I always call them weather stations. They're winter stations. So you have somewhere, in theory, to be out of the wind while you're on the beach. But it's really just designers and architects get together and they come up with some really clever ideas. And this one was, these were ropes hanging down to simulate rain, and then a cloud formation. And while I was at that Starbucks on the Danforth, I did a sketch of 2 shops across the street. And this was more of that printing that I did. I think this was just the remnants of what was on the jelly plate that I put on this gray paper. And then I didn't use it for a while, and when I was out, I thought this building that I was looking at from yet another Starbucks would really suit that. And there's a streetcar going past. And this was inside, you guessed it, a coffee shop. There's not many places that you can go right now when it's cold out. So this is Columbus Coffee, or Columbus Cafe at Adelaide and John. And I think these are based on photos that I took of pigeons, just trying out different media. This is from one of my photos of the Gooderman building, Flatiron building at Church and Front. And this was a Urban Sketchers meetup that we did at 401 Richmond, which is a building that has a lot of studios and nonprofits and art galleries inside it. So this was courtyard. It was warm enough that day to actually sit out there and sketch. I don't know, I didn't even put the date. It's kind of weird. I usually put the date on these things. It was beginning of February, I believe. And this is inside the building. And they had tons of plants all around. And then more collage, just kind of experimenting. Again, I put these in with no real idea about how I was going to use them. Just put them in. That's Saint Armand paper, really beautiful handmade paper from a place in Montreal. And I got a package of different scraps of their paper, so I just cut some out. And then when I was in the Starbucks and the beaches, I just sketched a woman sitting there. And this was a different trip to the Art Gallery of Ontario. I went there just by myself and sketched in the Henry Moore galleries. They have a beautiful big exhibition space of Henry Moore sculptures, and Henry Moore left this collection to the AGO because really no one in the UK was going to give him a permanent gallery space for these artworks. There is now a Henry Moore gallery, but when he was trying to plan for his legacy, the Art Gallery of Ontario won. And it's another sculpture. And it really takes me back to university when I was taking art courses outside of U of T at OCAD, which was just OCA when I went there. I did a couple of courses in the summer, and we would sketch in those galleries. So it's been there a long time. And then just some sketches from photos that I took when I was in Mexico City. This is a mixture of gouache and colored pencil, Posca, just based on one of my photos. This was just based on, I think it was based on a photo, yeah, of a guy playing with a Rubik's Cube on the subway in Toronto. And then this was, again, jelly print, just printed into this sketchbook with no real thought about how I was going to use it. And then I used it while I was having coffee at F Monday Coffee in Old Town Toronto. And this is based on a photo that I took of a building that I thought was kind of neat looking. It had this bright kind of pink exterior. And so that was based on a photo. And because it transferred, the color transferred onto this side, I didn't use this side. I should have had something in between. I didn't realize it would transfer so much. And again, this is based on a photo from my trip to Mexico City. I had a separate sketchbook for doing real urban sketching while I was there. But I was so inspired by all the color that I just kept going and doing sketches based on my photos. And so that's also Mexico City. And so is this. And this. And we're back in Toronto. This is a Vietnamese restaurant on Coxwell called Little Coxwell. And I just quickly sketched this while we were waiting for food. And this was back at that Starbucks up at Yonge St. Clair where we used to live. I was looking at a studio while I was there, and just did this quick sketch of buildings that they renovated across the street. And now we're back. Oh, this is a new group that I've been using for inspiration, because just there's sometimes you just really want to sketch or paint or whatever it is, and you just don't know. You have piles of photos, but going through them, you get distracted, or maybe not that one, maybe this one. And it's so much easier when you have a deadline for something. And so there's on Instagram, it's called the Landscape Art Club. And every week they have different places around the world, and they'll take photos to use as inspiration for artwork. And so this one was in Mallorca, in Spain. And this I drew of a elderly ladies sitting across from young girls at Neo Coffee at Bain College while I waited for someone. And then this was, they have these big communal tables, and everybody was on their laptops. And this is a photo based on, this is a sketch based on one of my photos, and it was in Besançon in France. So I was just trying out, I had parallel pen filled with octopus ink in this gray fox color, and just trying out different things. I didn't want to put too much color. I want to use this cream color of the Canson paper because a lot of the buildings have this cream colored warm stone. So I want to keep as much of that as possible and just add a little bit of color. And another artwork based on one of my photos from Mexico City. This is part gouache and colored pencil, and I think a little bit of, I think, water-soluble crayon. And this is a artwork based on a photo that I took in London a long time ago. Just a little cafe. Didn't use this side because it got kind of a bit messy when I didn't have that in because I didn't think it would transfer. I was testing out 2 new acrylic markers, and so I just swatched them in 2 colors. I think one's parchment and one's buff titanium, and then I just thought I'd draw over it with based on a photo that I took in Mexico City. And this was while I was at that Starbucks in the beaches. So I drew or sketched the lineup of shops and restaurants across the street, and I think I added color afterwards. And there was one day that I was feeling really under the weather, and I think it was a Tuesday because I think I saw Koshakuna's Draw Tip Tuesdays that she does on YouTube and on Instagram, and she had a thing about doing she has a project where she's filling a concertina sketchbook with images from her home. So I thought, well, I might as well just draw what was in front of me as inspiration. So this is basically my desk, and it kind of like that because my desk is L-shaped. And I'm just playing around with color again. I gone to this little mini workshop for lino cut, and so I did 2 little cat prints and stuck them in, and I think then I did the watercolor on top and attempted to do another cat image there. Another artwork based on my photos from Mexico City there. And this I did quickly before a life drawing class at East End Arts at St. Matthew's Clubhouse at Broadview and Gerrard. And so I did a quick sketch. These are, I don't know if they're wolves or foxes, bright pink sculptures that they have. And didn't do this because once again it got a little messy. And yeah, so this one is another one from the Landscape Art Club. This was the theme that week, or the location that week, was Wales. So a bunch of different fields in Wales. And then I did a quick sketch of based on a Pixabay image. Pixabay has royalty-free or copyright-free images that you can use for inspiration. So this was in Stockholm, a market in Stockholm. And I just wanted to play with splotching on color very loosely and then going over in colored pencil. The problem with this paper, this is Stifflex paper, which I've talked about before, and it's really great for colored pencil, another dry material, but I don't know if you can see, it kind of goes almost like and I can't think of the word for it, a bit furry. I don't know if it's the wrong side that I'm working on or what, but I noticed that it doesn't really want to take very wet materials, so that's okay. So on the back I did only colored pencil. That's based on a photo of a cafe that we went to in Buffalo. This one is based on a photo that I took walking up Strawn in a very colorful old school bus. And because I didn't really like, I think that's why I didn't fill these pages too. I didn't really like that paper that much. And so this is another landscape art club. This was, I'm not really sure now. It was a waterfall in New York State. And then I met up with a fellow urban sketcher, Emily went, and it was a really warm day, but unfortunately it started to rain. And so that's why there's these splotches of, it's just, it's water resistant carbon, platinum carbon ink, but it was still wet when it started to rain. So I finished the sketch, but had to add color later. So this is Queen Street West. We went to the paper place. I wanted to show her around there. And I have a video of a tour of that place as well. And this was based on a photo I took in Paris a long time ago. Another one from one of my photos somewhere in France. I was asking my husband, we can't really think where it was. It was somewhere in Burgundy. And then the other day I went to Starbucks, and it's a big one at King and Bathurst, and just sat in there. It was a bit loud at home with the work that was going on and everything. So this one is based on a photo that I took quite a while ago in Lisbon. And here I'm using a gouache stick, and I was just playing around. This is where I was testing it because somebody had asked me about the texture of it on YouTube. And then I just went with it, and the building was actually that color. So I just drew this, and this is acrylic ink that I was also wanting to get more knowledge of before including it. It's right here as we speak, in with my urban sketching tools. So this one is olive green, and it's really, really nice color. And speaking of green, I loaded a parallel pen with some green ink, water resistant ink. And the other day I took myself to a park. The weather was just gorgeous, March 13th, and I even put, it was a high of 21 degrees at this park at Avenue Road and Davenport. And so I just did a really loose, quick sketch. The pen wasn't really working. I think there's something wrong with the nib, so it was a little bit difficult getting it to flow properly. And while I was out, I went to a little cafe, really nice, very Instagrammable. There was quite a few younger women there posing, but they had beautiful croissants and pastries, very expensive, probably the most I ever spent on a croissant in Toronto, but beautiful spot. And again, it was so sunny, So all the shadows going across the floor there. And then walking down from there, I sat at another park, and there's these beautiful houses on Lowther, Bedford and Lowther, and sat on the park wall and quickly sketched this. The gardener who maintains all these houses came up and wanted to see what I was sketching and started talking to me about different things until he got a phone call. So I did the color later. And speaking of that croissant, there it is in its full glory. It was a raspberry one, really nice. Had raspberry, not really jam, more like coulis in the middle of it. And then the last image in the book, again, I was swatching out these two acrylic markers that I got, and I know from experience now that ink doesn't, some inks work on it and some don't. This wasn't too bad. This was platinum carbon ink on it. Seemed to be okay. But then I decided to use Neocolor and also soft pastels on top, and some colored pencil and a little bit of Posca. So it's like the full gamut there. And then I always carry glassine in the back to put between things that are going to transfer onto the other pages. And I usually have, notes on the back of this one, so I'm not going to show that. I think it was just courses that I might want to take. And that is it. That's 3 months. It's pretty thick sketchbook. I have one already lined up to take its place. It's a little bit bigger. It's a 5x7 size. Mostly the same. Different papers are in it. Instead of the white binding tape, I've used black masking tape here just to save a little bit of money, because that's not cheap, the binding tape. And yep, so that's different. I have a mixture of cold press and hot press paper, and also some cream colored, I think this is just really thick paper. I'm not sure how the watercolor will take to it, but it should be fine. And I have a different cover. This is paper that I got at the paper place. It's got a really nice sort of linen feel to it. So I kept it a little bit not so thick. Still enough pages. It'll last for a while. And I just want to keep it a little bit slimmer, so lessen the weight in my bag. And we'll see how that one goes. So stay tuned. They're a little curved, the pages right now, but they will settle down. I've had them clipped for a while, like you've seen on the video that I've done for that. And that's it. So if you like to see sketchbook tours, I have more videos up here on YouTube, or you can also check out my website that has some listed, which will bring you back to YouTube. And once again, video on how to make these sketchbooks and step-by-step on my website. All right, thanks so much. Bye.